Have you ever asked yourself, am I boring? Like, no matter what you do, you just can't get people to be interested in you? Listen, you're not alone. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about why some of us may be asking this question and how it's actually a good thing. But before we get into it, my name is Leo Esquivel, and I'm a professional counselor that tries to keep mental health simple so that you can think clearly, stay sharp, and hopefully live life on your terms. So, am I a boring person? I love hearing this question because it could be a sign that you're hoping to improve your relationships. And guess what? This is completely normal. You see, the famous psychologist by the name of Abraham Maslow said that we're all motivated by a hierarchy of needs. One of these needs is actually love and belonging. If you're struggling to make friends or improve your relationship with your family or with your coworkers, and you're asking yourself, am I boring? Why do they not engage with me as much as I hope? Or maybe you're getting nervous and you don't know what to talk about. Then you've come to the right place. I'm here to tell you that the problem is not that you're boring. The problem could be that you may view yourself as a boring person. Now, we can't control many of the things that happen to us, but we can always control how we respond to what happens. You see, our behavior is our best attempt to control the environment around us. And the thing that affects our behavior the most is our perception. It's all about how you view the situation. Allow me to demonstrate using a glass of water. You can view this glass of water as either half full or half empty. It really depends on the lens that I use to view this cup of water, right? Let's just say that these glasses right here are telling me that this glass of water is half empty. Okay, well, this is the lens that I'm using. So whenever I see this glass of water, I'm going to identify it as half empty. However, if I put on my other lenses, well, hey, you know what? I actually view this cup half full. Looks pretty refreshing. So I'm gonna take a little sip. You see, our perception is key to all of these situations. So when I look at the question, am I boring? It really depends what lens am I using. Depending on the lens that you use to view a question, this will ultimately influence your thoughts. Your thoughts will ultimately influence your feelings, and your feelings always influence your behavior. In counseling, we refer to this as a cognitive triangle, or some of you may know it as CBT. In my experience as a professional counselor, I've been able to help many clients identify faulty ways of thinking in this triangle, break the cycle, and then implement better ways of thinking. So, for example, if I have a client that's asking themselves, you know what, I feel like I'm too boring, and I notice that they're actually trying to improve the relationships around them, then we can see what lens they're using to view their situation and how we can make some changes to improve those relationships. Because at the end of the day, the whole point of counseling or self development is to live the life that we want to live. So, okay, Leo, I get it. Maybe I'm not viewing my situation the right way. Maybe I'm not a boring person. Maybe I just see myself as a boring person. But this still doesn't solve my problem. I still feel like people don't talk to me as much as I would like to talk to them. And for some reason, when I pull up to a social setting, I freeze and I don't know what to say. How can I fix that? Don't worry. I got you. This is why I created this channel. I want to make some suggestions that could help you in your next social setting, whether this may be with family, friends, coworkers, or maybe that, special somebody that you're trying to pursue. So tip number one is going to be ask more open-ended questions. These are basically questions that require longer answers instead of the typical yes or no. For example, instead of asking, hey, did you like that movie? Ask them something like, hey, what did you think about that movie? Now, these type of open-ended questions take a little bit of practice, and sometimes you may struggle to think of open-ended questions. So I'm going to introduce you a little trick that I started using when I first started counseling clients that had a little bit of trouble opening up at the beginning of our sessions. One thing you can do before attending social settings or hanging out with friends or whatever is you can get yourself this little game. It's called How Deep Will You Go? I'm not sponsored by them, but I did find this very effective with some of my new clients. This game has three different sections, right? It has three different types of cards. It's a whole big stack. Stack number one is icebreakers. Stack number two is confessions, which is a little deeper. And then if you really want to get deep, there's a level for that, right? The next time you find yourself in conversation with someone and for some reason the conversation starts to die down, ask them an open ended question. For example, this one says, what motivates you in life? It's a great question. As a matter of fact, a couple of months ago, I was at a work conference and I met this individual from Atlanta. He was telling me what he did for a living, and he said he was an electrical engineer. Well, this question flows perfectly because I could easily say, really, what motivated you in life to become an electrical engineer? I asked a variation of that question, and this guy was just talking and talking. He went off. My point is that if you ask open-ended questions, people will more than likely talk about themselves. And this leads me into my next tip, which is active listening. So if you ask good questions, people will talk about themselves. All you have to do at that point is just actively listen. Make some good eye contact, nod your head a little bit. And if you really want to kick it up a notch, use their name in the conversation. So, for example, this guy was telling me how he wires all the electricity for this big company. And he was just basically breaking down his whole profession. His name was Mike. So I said, Mike, that's pretty interesting. If I ever have a power outage, can I hit you up or what? And, obviously he laughed and we had a good conversation. Little by little, he started to relax. I started to open up. We became good friends, exchanged information. And now he's in my business contacts. And now if I ever have questions about electricity, I can always hit him up. And the point here is just to practice certain skills that will help us build better relationships. If you're asking yourself, am I a boring person? It could be because you're struggling to build better relationships or to make new friends. Or like I said, maybe you're looking for a significant other. And this is all going to help you. Whatever the case may be, open-ended questions and active listening are definitely going to help you improve those relationships. Okay, this is where things start to get a little interesting. If you show people that you're interested in them, there's a very good chance that they will show interest in you. At this point, they will naturally ask questions about yourself. So, for example, when I was talking to Mike about his field, he quickly asked me what I did. And I went ahead and told him about what I do. I'm a professional counselor. I help a lot of people elevate their mental health and so on and so forth. And he became very interested. As a matter of fact, he started telling me how he was looking for a counselor back home. And I was able to give him a lot of advice that he's going to use when he gets back to Atlanta and possibly find himself a good counselor. Now, my only advice with talking about yourself is just try not to ramble too much. The key to building good relationships, new friendships, is to create a very inviting, calm, cool environment where people can just be themselves. When you ask questions and you show interest in them, they will normally return the favor, and that's how you guys can start to build good relationships. Now, as the saying goes, nothing in life is guaranteed except death and taxes. However, if you implement these tips, I don't see how they won't help you improve your social presence and build better relationships. Just keep in mind that if you're new to these things, it's going to take a little bit of time. It's going to take some practice, but just be patient, trust the process, and things will start to get better for you. I feel like I say this in every video, but I truly believe that the quality of our lives depends on the quality of our relationships. One of the reasons that I enjoy doing professional counseling is because I can help people improve their relationships, figure out faulty ways of thinking, interrupt that CBT triangle that I mentioned earlier, and try to help a client implement new ways of thinking, new strategies that can be effective for them. And at the end of the day, just improve their quality of lives overall, whether that be helping them make new friends, helping them think a little bit more positively, so on and so forth. So once again, are you really boring? Or do you just view yourself as a boring person? The lens that you use to answer that question will give you the right answer. And another thing I want to mention is that being an interesting person doesn't always have to be very loud, very fun. Stay true to who you are. Maybe you're a little bit of an introvert, or maybe you're not used to asking open-ended questions. Listen, it's fine. You can still be interesting just by being interested in others. Keeping that curiosity always invites people to talk to you. And when the opportunity comes, share your story. And sharing our story could also be a little bit of practice. There's nothing wrong with standing in front of a mirror for a couple of minutes to just practice your story, practice your facial expressions. When I first started YouTube, I had to sit in front of this camera and just rehearse different talking points, different scripts. I had to practice little by little, and every video I feel like I'm gaining more and more confidence. Hopefully, this is helping my viewers to stay engaged and learn things that can help their mental health. So, whatever tips you want to pick up, practice them, stay patient, and I promise you that in the long run, you will see better results, especially if your goal is to improve your relationships. Once again, thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I always look forward to reading those. Leo, out.